The brains in this one, I'm just checking.
Well, that makes me the beauty. So that's
okay,
a perfect
wait a minute. We're going to talk about art. We're going to talk about why art. We're going to talk about the want of art. We're going to talk about why we want to make art and why people want to make art.
There's just something you do. The way you hold me close, I just don't wanna move.
So I'm a big fan of alliteration, and I wanted to do Harleys and Hairspray. Story. There's 3 S's. No, succulent is not one of the
Succulent
S.
is not one of the
No, that's a
S's?
treat S. That's a gift S. That's not one of the 3. It's like Christmas all over. This is all foreplay waiting to turn into something bigger and better.
Let me tell you about Dr. T. From Mad Love Music. He's a songwriter, producer, and ex-music prof. You can find him at Mad Space Love Space Music, and that's you, Dr. T. Makes me think about teeth. Or maybe my name, Tina. You a doctor of me? You're on.
Tina O. Not just Tina O. Tina O Life. She's a super cool human first and foremost. But she's also a writer. She's a speaker. She's a performer. She's a chaser and keeper of stories. And together, a podcast called Harleys
And Hairspray. This week, we're joined by Kelly Miller. Kelly Miller is actually a friend of Dr. T's. In fact, I think Dr. T's got a number of tattoos from Miss Kelly, I think.
Ouch!
Dear listener, have you ever met someone that just looked thuggish? And when you first look at her, you say, oh, she's one of those kind of people, the don't get in my grill kind of people. But what we discovered is that Kelly, in fact, is the most tender, loving, sympathetic, empathetic, yes, displays her love on her sleeve, and her other sleeve, and her neck, and other body parts which were, I believe, covered during our interview. Who is our guest today? Who is Kelly Miller of the Bowen Island Tattoo Shop? Well, my co-host, Tina O, will be only too happy to tell you more.
Kelly Miller was born and raised on Bowen Island. It's a place where she's always found her inspiration from the surrounding wildlife, of which that includes both Dr. T and Tina O. That's the 2 of us. She's always been an artist. She's always enjoyed learning to work with new mediums. She tells us this story about starting her life drawing and then realizing, oh my gosh, you mean I can get paid for that? I can get paid for drawing. Yeah. So she chased that art. She was introduced to the world of tattooing in 2012, and when that happened, she knew that she had found her passion. After her apprenticeship with Betty B had finished, Kelly took on the tattoo business started by her mentor and made it her own. Bowen Island Tattoo Shop was established in November 2015, where Kelly has continued to work hard at giving each person the attention and care needed to create their very own tattoo. Join us as we talk to Kelly Miller. We're live.
Our one beautiful listener, hello.
Oh my God.
That's a joke we constantly make. We only have one listener. Welcome. Just one. That's all we need is one. Welcome back, our one loyal, faithful listener to Harleys and
Hairspray.
where we neither talk about Harleys nor,
Hairspray.
that's right, but what we do talk about is the struggle of the artist.
Artists who have surrendered their heart to art.
Artists who put the art in heart.
Yeah.
That's right. And because it would be really easy to get Alec Baldwin in here. In fact, he called me the other day and said, hey, can I be on your podcast? And I said, Alec, you're really burdened with a lot of other podcasts. Don't worry about it. Or Jon Favreau. And listen, you're in the middle of the Marvel franchise. We don't want to hear about your glamorous successes. We want to talk to the Justin Biebers before they become Justin Biebers. We want to talk to the Basquiats who are in the trend. And here,
Look who's here.
it is so amazing that we have discovered the Justin Bieber in the trenches who has yet to blow up. And that's you, Kelly. Hi.
Hello. Thanks
So-
for having me.
Thanks for being had. So Kelly is, well, you know what? I'm not going to tell your story on your behalf. Who are you and what are you doing here?
Okay, well, how do I answer that? Grew up on Bowen Island, artist for as long as I can remember and hold a pen or pencil. And yeah, inspired constantly by the surrounding area. I love this place, never left. and was lucky enough to have a friend as I was growing up that was a tattoo artist and was ready to take me on and offer me the opportunity to apprentice under her. And I never had to leave the island. I got to stay here and find a passion of mine that I knew I loved tattoos, but the option to be able to do them on people, and it was just like, can I do it? And
Oh, so this is a tattooing episode.
yeah.
Oh, now we got. No, hold on. You said Bowen Island. That's, if I'm not mistaken, and my geography is on point, that's somewhere in Thailand, right? It's one of the Thailand
Tiny
islands.
little rock. Remote, I'm the only thing on it.
Yeah.
Quick, it just shocks me.
That. Where is Bowen Island for our one listener who's in Bali?
Yeah, well,
On the islands of Bali.
when you're over here in Canada, just off the west coast of Vancouver, BC. So tiny little rock and 20-minute ferry ride.
Yeah, and you know what? I just heard Macklemore do a little name drop of Bowen because about a decade ago, he was in recovery here. And he still has a home here. In fact, I think he bought a home for his mama bear
Oh, really?
on Bowen.
Why don't we start there? Because I think it's a special place. I think Bowen is like this funny little vortex of artists. Like it just sort of calls. And you were born and raised here.
Yeah.
I'm curious what, if you feel like where you grew up has really made a difference in your life as an artist.
Absolutely. I think being on a small island like that, where you're going to get those eccentric and, you build connections quicker with different people. And it's just a magical little place that so much here is inspiring in that sense, with nature. For me anyways, because I connect with nature so much. Like I can't imagine being anywhere in a city place or something like that. A city place.
A city place. You know those places.
The city mouse and the country mouse.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard of those mice. Correct.
But yeah, it's just something about it. My mom was an artist too, so she very artistic, whether it was painting with watercolors or working with clay. So all growing up, I was always watching her play around and take over the dining room table with all of her crafts and whatnot. So I always had my hand in something in that sense, some sort of medium, whether it was the pen or the pencil, which I generally chose. But tried the clay, tried the Fimo. And always back to the
I need skin.
drawing. Yes, something.
I need skin.
I can't tell you how often that
Yeah.
runs through my mind daily. I need skin.
Just,
So I'm going to confess, I'm the only one at the table that has absolutely no ink.
This is right.
We're
I
actually
have
gonna do a
no
podcast while you're getting tattooed.
ink. Oh, is
that's
that
about
the-
Surprise!
Is that part?
Oh, we're coming. Let's get the needle. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt your confession. You're such an outcast.
Yeah, we're doing a dragon coming up.
Perfect. Very Bowen. Very Bowen.
Yeah.
I'm the only one with no ink here.
Is that going to change?
I don't know. I don't know.
No, honestly, a neck tat on you would be amazing.
Rock it.
The only thing I've considered is like a lavender right up the side.
Ooh, yeah. A little
our-
sprig of lavender.
Our one
Yeah.
listener who maybe is not seeing this visually, she just pointed to her rib.
Up
So
to
basically
this
from
side.
her hip up her rib
That's
cage.
right.
Yeah.
And she languidly
Just because I
with
I,
her finger
I know how to just.
choreograph
I
a
do.
line right up the side
It's
of
another
her.
artist move.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Kelly, if you were a rapper, would you, in your bars, would you spit that you chose the game, or would you say the game chose you?
Oh, jeez.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I come here with a hard-hitting Dan Rather type questions.
That's right.
I think I chose the game. I think, just
Okay.
from the things and the people I surround myself with and what I chose along my way kind of led me here. So I feel like I chose it.
And would you say that it was more artistically driven or financially driven? A little bit of both, one or the other?
Definitely artistically driven, because growing up for me, my parents were supportive of everything I was doing. Like they were never like, you got to get a real job or something if I wanted to be, whatever. But for me, it still in my head was something like, oh, could I just draw forever and live, like, no, I need to get a real job, a 9-to-5 or something like that. And yeah, but then it just it happened. Here I am, and it's working. So I've surprised myself and I'm just running with it.
Have you ever had a plan B?
When I first started at the shop, I was working at the vet as a vet tech on island. And
Hold on, you were tattooing animals?
well,
no, you were a traditional vet tat.
yes.
Okay.
But I mean, I was able to do the identification tattoos,
Oh,
things like
nice.
that. And if somebody wanted an extra little heart or something like that,
Of
we would
course.
do it. But not, I wasn't doing back pieces on hamsters or anything like that.
Although that I would pay to watch that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, did we really just say that? Back
Got-
pieces on hamsters.
I
just
took
had to
that-
repeat that.
I took that from my mentor because she made a joke about that years ago, and so yeah, no, we're not offering that service down there, but
Although in the west end of Vancouver, you can get a hamster up your back piece. But that's a different story.
yeah, they offer a
That's
whole
a
world of
story.
things.
Like, hey, you know.
So before the podcast, I was telling my two friends here in the space that I don't curse, but I am very frequently and wildly inappropriate. And that was a great example of that. Sorry, where were we?
Yes, I think we make up for the cursing.
That's
here.
right.
We got that handled, don't we?
Yeah, on it.
So that was your veterinary career, your short career, was sort of a plan B while you were building your plan A.
Technically, that was plan A. I was working at the vet. I was starting to go into school, getting some courses figured out for my vet tech program. And then as I was prepping to do that, the apprenticeship opportunity was there. And it just kind of started to happen. And I was like, okay, maybe I can do both. So I was doing my apprenticeship while working at the vet, starting to do some courses here and there. But I'd run up on my lunch break, set up my mentor's station, Liz, or she goes by Betty B in the tattoo world. And, I'd set up her station or get things ready and then come up later, clean up or sit with her and watch while I could. I was really trying to make it all happen. And then, a few things in life happened and I stopped doing my courses and I started dropping shifts there and picking up more here. And then my apprenticeship finished and I had the opportunity to take the shop or leave and go work at another shop or however I wanted to take my tattoo self around. And I just jumped and took the shop over. And then after a couple of years, I just dropped the vet thing. And I was like, okay, I'm just picking one and I'm just going to put 100% into it instead of 70% into two things or something, 50% each kind of thing. I wasn't getting to move forward in either of them, I felt. So I was like, okay.
So I have a theory.
That's so valuable.
I have a theory that the art that you are is going to chase you down until you do it. Yeah. And so I think it's pretty cool that, you were drawing as a kid, right? You were always doing that. And then you ended up in this job. But then look, there's this tattoo thing happening. And then you had choice to make. Yeah. Just wondering what you think about that.
So the doors appear before you.
Yeah.
Your intended doors appear before you.
Yeah. It's like it's going to keep knocking until you say yes.
Yeah. And it was scary. I talked about it a lot. With my partner at the time or my friends, it was a lot of okay, I don't know what to do. And it was always the topic of conversation. And then it just kind of hit me and I was like, I just got to do it. And there was a few factors that kind of helped push me to just be like, okay, I'm giving my notice. I'm leaving here and that's it. But it all worked out and, And
I'm just curious, you have to tell me what the details were, but those details that pushed you, were they possibly negative at the time or positive at the time? Were there things
No, I'd say it was mostly positive. Okay. The influence from friends and family being you got to do this, or when I realized that I was having to say no to potential clients and things because I wouldn't have the time or whatever and things like that. And it was just kind of okay, I can do this. I'm going to do it. And just, that was it. It just was a decision and went for it, and it felt right as soon as I made it. I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be now. So
We in our past conversations, we make mention of when we light up as we talk about our passions, and I just saw that in you. Your eyes were glistening and you started to sparkle when you were talking about going for it, and which negates my next question of any regrets. You don't even have to answer that.
Nah, definitely no regrets.
Okay, so you know what I find crazy?
Yeah.
If I was from a whole different galaxy and I landed here and I watched the ritual of somebody saying, I'm going through a transition in my life and I'm going to go to a stranger and I'm going to ask that stranger to mark me up, and they're going to do it on my skin, and they're going to use an ink-filled needle and they will draw on me, and I will be their canvas, and it will be on me forever. That, on the surface, sounds insane.
Yeah.
I came in here, I had an idea, I was going through a life transition, and I trusted you with my body forever. And you drew on me with a needle, which doesn't feel good. and you put ink in my epidermis. Like, that's think about how crazy that sounds.
Yeah. That's kind of how I would talk to myself. Like, I'd say those sort of things to myself when I first was thinking of becoming a tattoo artist. When I was talking to my best friend Liz, and we're sitting there, and she's like, "You could do this, man. You could do it." And I'm just thinking, what? Like, sit and let somebody, like, somebody's gonna want me to be in charge of that? Like, how? No way, man. I'm not. That's, I can't do it. And I love tattoos. I was getting tattooed. Like, as soon as I was 16, I somehow conned my parents into letting me get one. They came with me, and that was it. But the thought of doing it myself, I was like, how could I get to that point? But something about with art, it's like, self-expression or whichever, but it's supposed to make you feel something in some way. And whether that art is just something on paper or installation, however it is. But the fact that suddenly I got to do that for tattoos, every tattoo is going to help that person feel something or make them feel something, whether it's excitement from the experience or getting through a life transition or a memorial piece or whatever it is. And the fact that, like, for art, that's what it means to me. And now I get to do that every time for a client. Like, that whole scared part I felt in the very beginning doesn't seem like, I don't feel that at all anymore. I feel the natural nervousness you're supposed to feel as an artist when you're doing this, but that's like, I need that a bit to...
The responsibility.
Yeah.
It's the nervousness you feel when you go out on stage, which helps you be cautious and really good.
And sharp, like I'm gonna...
Exactly.
I don't want to get too where I'm like, oh yeah, sure, come on, lay down,
Hey.
whatever.
I love that distinction.
Yeah.
Like that it forces you to be clear and to be on your craft.
Yeah.
I love
Right
that. That
on your
nerves,
craft.
yeah,
Like
that
a
nerves
good
bring that up.
nervousness.
Yeah.
So I don't want to lose that, right?
Awesome.
But definitely the feelings I had when I first was told about, oh, you'd be a tattoo artist, and I was like, no way, that's not there anymore. It's more like, wow, yes, I get to do this for people and be a part of that experience for them, because it's not just about them coming in, getting a tattoo, and ripping out of here. It might be a tiny little piece, but they're going to remember that whole day. Coming to the island, what they were doing, who they were hanging out, who they were coming to visit, or what was going on in their life at the time when they got it. And, I look back at some of my tattoos when I first started getting tattooed, and some of them I'm like, man, I love the tattoo, but I remember that day the guy was weird, or, and I don't want, that's not what it's about for me. I want them to have a whole experience with it and remember that, not just...
Well, you bring up a whole other piece of art. Like, art can be deeply personal. Mm-hmm. And what's really cool, I think, about tattoos is that you're the artist, so it's deeply personal to you. You're in that creation mode. It's literally moving through you, but you're also touching somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a shared intimacy in that place. And then they walk out the door and they're sharing it with other people.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really cool.
That's huge on so many levels.
Yeah.
And actually you both segued into something that I find really anomalous in this process. So the last two pieces that I received were from you, and it was a homecoming, because when I moved to the island, I felt like it was a brand new chapter, and the chapter that maybe felt the most right for me. Mm-hmm. But what I found was that in spending time with you, and I don't know, we spent 4 hours, there were two types of therapy. One was the therapy of us exchanging our transitions. What are you going through? And tell me about your relationship, and what is this hurt you're trying to get over? And tell me about your life and what led you here, and some of the demons that you were fighting, some of the demons that I'm fighting and slaying. So there was this discourse about our lives, but none of it was superficial. It was all very significant and very deep. Like, you get to the deep stuff really quickly. So that's therapy level 1. Therapy level 2, I find that the ache that's in my heart is being exorcised and replaced by the pain of the needle on my skin. It's like you trade one pain for another, which is, it's almost like a really great deep tissue massage. Like, you need to inflict some pain to get rid of the tension of the previous pain. And so one pain exercises the other through replacement. So what's your take on those two levels of therapy? Because they were very clear.
Yeah.
In my life, extremely clear, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
Because for the exorcism you performed.
Amazing. Well, and that's why I love doing this. Like that's you create these connections with new people, and it's that therapy is huge. Some folks don't want to talk at all. You know, they get tattooed and they're just, it's like a meditation that they go into, or they're thinking about, you know, whatever they're thinking about, but that's it for them. But some people like to talk, and so we'll chat, and I'll open up a little, you know, about my stuff or whatever, and there's something about that where they have to be vulnerable for me to let me break into their skin and do this for them. So, you know, I feel comfortable being able to open up to them as well.
It's not a bartender-drinker relationship.
No.
At all. Because you could call that therapy, but one is clearly a hapless victim, and one is completely in control of the situation.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's very reciprocative.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's contact.
Yeah.
There's actual contact.
Oh, now you want to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
You got some issues you need to exercise.
Yeah.
Right here, down the side. I got this one issue.
What do you think?
My kids are driving me crazy.
Okay, I have a question for you around, has anything really surprised you about this work that you had no idea was in this art?
Do you mean like when somebody comes in because I heard stories as a younger man where you can get a dragon on your penis that becomes a bigger dragon as you attain an erection.
There's some amazing things you can do.
But do you mean like that? Like any surprising...
That is not what I was
That's
thinking.
not... Oh, I'm sorry.
That's really awesome.
No, but that's a really
to answer
aesthetic...
That question, I have yet to have any sort of genital tattoos happen in the shop. Let's just get that one
This
up
is
off
a
the
genital-free zone at this time.
At this current
I will
moment.
lean on this table. It's all good.
Who knows what the future may hold, but in the meantime.
No, but like surprises in the craft, surprises in the depth in you, something that woke up in you.
Gosh.
Or something else, just surprising.
Yeah, get her back on track.
Yeah.
Off the penis, like
Off the
the
dragon.
dragon
Yeah,
penis.
that's all I can
I'm
see
on-
right
I'm
now.
on penis,
It's always
you're
the
on
dragon.
Oh.
I think for me it was, I feel like when I first got into it, it was a matter of building confidence, like for me in my art. And it took a while. It surprised me that I could get there, you know? Like I said, from the beginning, it's like, wow, really people want my art? Like, you know, I'm sitting at home drawing whatever, and like it could really happen. And then to get to a point where I'm like, I am really proud. And you know, it happened within a few years when I started, and I started to look at myself and go, yeah, man, like I'm really happy about my own art, which you hear most artists and they're just like, yeah, you know, I like my painting, but whatever, you know, you're your own worst critic kind of thing. But I can actually, like, I feel really good about my space, and I have a good vibe when I come in here, and I kind of surprised myself, I guess, there. Not that I thought it was going to be terrible or anything, but I didn't know that was something I was missing until it happened, and I was feeling good with everything, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a tattoo artist. This is my art. I like it.
I love that on so many levels. I love that it was a surprise.
Yeah.
Like to have that, and then I love that you claimed it. And you're like, yeah, I like this. Like, how many miserable artists do we know? Too many. Yeah. Or they're really happy, but there's not always. I shouldn't say always. There often can be a cost.
But
It's
they're
like,
caught
I
up in the
love,
struggle.
yeah,
It's like they find glamour in the struggle and misery.
right?
And they Kurt Cobain themselves
yeah,
into that pocket, which is needless.
yeah,
Okay, you don't necessarily get better art when you're miserable. You get different art,
yeah.
not
Totally.
necessarily better.
Well, and on that, so there's another thing that kind of surprised me was like, cool, I get to draw forever. You know, this is what I do now. I get to draw, but realizing that, like, for me, it's not a matter of just, okay, I just need to be alone and I'll draw a bit or something. I need to really be in the right headspace. I need to be in the proper environment. I need to, and I'm talking like, I got to have, you know, my favorite show going on over there. I need some sort of daylight coming in somewhere, whether it's night or not, like just outside view and snacks, you know, all my things. Like, I got to have all this stuff. And if I don't, then I really have a hard time getting into it. And it surprised me how much that can block me. So, you know, whether it's like mental stuff going on or, you know, stress or whatever, I just like haven't had a chance to sit by myself and get into that zone. Like, was like, man, this is harder than I thought. I thought I could just kind of be jumping in and setting up, but now I'm so particular about it. And so you can't, it's kind of like, I don't know. So bringing it back to this space, I get into that zone. I've created this space so that it kind of has that vibe, and I've got all those feelings that I need when I want to really get inspired or at my house. But if those things aren't good, then I'm not drawing. It's not going to happen.
You've got a process.
Yeah. I'll sit at my, the pad with the pen in my hand, and and my go-to, if I can't think of anything to draw or I'm just not into it, I just start drawing eyeballs. So I'll have a whole page full of eyeballs or something, But nobody wants these tattooed, these weird eyeballs that I'm doing. So.
I mean, if you give me a discount, I'll come in for an eyeball.
Right.
Yeah, who wants?
No, but that's so interesting because I make myself write songs every day.
Yeah.
Even when I don't have a project, for the practice of going in and writing. Because writers write. Basketball players dribble and shoot. Hockey players, same thing, right? Every day you have to practice your craft. Yeah. Not for any other reason than to practice your craft. And also you can't wait for inspiration to come and find you.
No.
You have to just work at it. Some days you're not inspired to hit the gym.
Exactly.
But you still got to hit the gym, right?
Yeah.
So and inspiration, when it comes, it's magical, but it's in the minority. Those visitations are anomalous.
Yeah.
So you can't just wait for those. So when you're on the receiving end of being tattooed, where do you stand with the whole therapy issue, and how does that feel to you? And also, this is a trifecta of questions. Because you're an artist, do you find yourself judging the art of others? Or how are you with the assessment of other people's art on you?
Well, I choose my last few tattoos I've gotten, I've chosen the artist. I've gone through, done a little bit of research, and I love being able to just give them an idea and then let them do their thing. I'll see the drawing when I come in to get the tattoo. I'm not particular in that sense,
Really?
but yeah.
Something that's on your body for the rest of your life.
Forever.
We'll
Yeah.
just see what. Wow.
No, but I think it's no, but
as
correct
a
me if I'm
virgin,
wrong.
as a tattoo
You're
person,
such a
Yeah.
virgin, but
Yeah.
when you become a slut and you've done it, like when you realize
Yeah.
you're unemployable and you're dancing with the devil,
Yes.
it no longer carries the same gravitas.
Yeah.
Like if you're only getting your third tattoo, that still carries a lot of weight and resonance. But once you've given your soul over to the world of ink,
Yeah.
maybe you can do that, right?
Yeah.
Your psyche changes.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had clients who've done that for me. They come in and say, hey, I want this, and I'll come in on this date, and I can't wait to see what you've got ready for me or whatever. And, some of those clients I've created a relationship with already, so they really know my art, my style, what I'm capable of, what to expect.
But talk
But-
about surrendering your heart to art, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I love it. I love that,
Wicked.
just the last piece that I got, I hadn't seen it, until I came in. And when I got there, I loved it. And she, for me, in my experience with her, this year, a bunch of, crazy things that happened. I'd lost my mom. So there was a number of things, and this tattoo had been booked, and my grandma. And so the tattoo was booked before then, but then those things happened. And so this piece, this moment of me going in to get this tattoo was turning into something else for me that I didn't realize what it was going to be when I planned it. I was like, I want a raven tattoo. That's it.
Right.
And, I said, add some cool stuff, bones, ribbons, whatever. And then as the time went on, it was just like, I'm anticipating this tattoo. And I was like, okay, this piece now is going to represent like a big thing for me this year. And everything I went through and this and that. So I just got there and laid down and sat for 3.5 hours. The last half hour, I was moving a bit.
Right.
I was having a hard time.
I'm
Yeah.
getting jittery. I'm done here.
Yeah.
Explain to me what that means.
I just was, it was painful.
Okay.
So I was having a hard time
You're
laying
running-
perfectly
okay,
still.
gotcha.
But those first 3
You're
hours
running
was
out of
very
tolerance
much like,
after-
Okay,
You were like,
capacity's
we're done.
like,
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm realizing where my limit was. It's getting smaller and smaller the more tattoos I get, I think. But it was amazing. It was great because it was such an important piece for me then. So I was able to just kind of lay there and meditate into it. And, we didn't talk much while I was getting tattooed. I just got to hang out and, a few breaks here and there or whatever. But that was therapy for me. And it just took what could have been very focused pain. I'm pointing here, it was on my chest. So I was anticipating it being, pretty sensitive. But it was good. It was like, it was therapy. It was, my brain was able to kind of shift it, and I was thinking about a lot of stuff, but it was just kind of like a vibration on my chest and just kind of got me through it. I got into the zone, as they call it. And
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That sounds like art to me.
Yeah.
Getting
So
into
that being
zone.
able to do that for others that's the experience I want to be able to offer as well. Like that they, or not even offer, I don't need to offer it, like come for your meditation. That's just what it is. Like they will get into that zone when they're getting tattooed, and
It's a beautiful byproduct.
Yeah.
It's a bonus.
yeah.
Does the work change? Sorry, I could see your impulse, but I just
No,
hijacked your impulse.
I have no impulse.
Okay. Does the work change? Can you know when someone's in the zone and you're working on them? Does that shift you?
I'd say, because we're both in the zone at that point. If we're both like, they're just laying there and they're, eyes closed or listening to music or whatever they got to do. And if I'm right into it and there's no talking, it's just, you kind of go into a bit of a trance. Like I'll get right into the tattoo, and good music's playing. Music is key, during the tattoo. Like, I don't even think I need to explain. All right.
I'm on the basis, so it's right there with you.
Yeah, so I tend to try to, I'm not like trying to pick the perfect music for each client, but I'll just sort of get a vibe of them coming in, and I kind of pick whatever, and most of the time they love it, and they're like, what's this playlist? And, it just kind of helps them a little bit, whether it's happy music or this and that. Some clients like to bring their own music in, and, they'll play their jam and whatever it is, and that's great too, because it gets them into their little space, and I can kind of join in. So it's good.
Okay, so I had a little impulse because I had you were reading my impulses. I am not, as a songwriter, I'm not a fan of trends. EDM, everybody's doing EDM. In modern country, everybody's doing it. And so there's, 3 or 4 year periods where everybody's jumping onto the R&B train or the whatever genre and trends. And so you would notice in the tattoo world, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you have the pinup trend, you have the tramp stamp trend, you have the black and gray realism, then you have the gothic lettering, thug life, or whatever, right? Trends. How do you feel about trends? What are the current trends? Why does everybody now have a rose and a lion somewhere? Just to be clear, what's your take on trends?
Great.
And what are current trends to be avoided by all you 18-year-olds waiting to get your parental consent to get your rose and a lion and your tramp stamp?
Okay, tramp stamps, we've moved past tramp stamps. I'd like to think. Yeah.
Cover up that tramp stamp.
Luckily, I've done that.
For our one listener, if you don't know
Yes.
what a tramp stamp is,
Even I know what a tramp stamp.
can you explain?
Is it
to her?
the line that's like right at the
Just some design, usually floral or tribal,
Just like
right
under
above the butt
anti-line?
crack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece.
doesn't say tramp on it, just to be clear.
Yeah, so
It's a beautiful piece. I just threw that in there.
Yeah, sneak
It's
that.
fantastic.
That's right.
so trends, I mean, they happen, and I think it's back to the experience thing that I was saying. Like, if people want to come in, and so some trends are, like a single little wave, or for a while it was dream catchers or the feather turning into birds. Like, you see them a lot. But if somebody comes to me and asks me for one of those tattoos, I try to make them a little more custom to each person. Sometimes, like the tree silhouette, sure, we see it a lot, but I will draw it right on the person each time. Like, it cannot be the exact same as one. Like, the branches are going to be different. Sure, it's a tree silhouette, but it's their tree silhouette. So it's what it means to them, and what experience they were having when they were getting it, or why they wanted it, or whatever. And I mean, it's something like that, I think, is kind of timeless. It's same with flowers, like roses and things like that. Like, that's a timeless design. If you're coming in for the barbed wire around the arm or something, which I've not,
So hard.
just like the single band or something like that, then I might kind of be like, why? What's your meaning? Yeah, exactly.
We love you,
A little bit about that.
Maybe they do. Cool. Okay. Well, that's your reason, and
Okay, but that's what I'm curious about next, because I'm a story gal, right? So when people come in with wanting a tattoo, do they tell you their story? Like, how does that happen? How do you?
Sometimes, if they're comfortable enough to, and that's what the consult's for. We either do it over email, generally in person, or text or whatever. But it's if they seem comfortable, or if it seems like if I feel it out and it seems okay to ask, I'll say like, hey, what's the meaning behind this piece? Generally, they want to tell you, because it's theirs, and they want you to understand the meaning and depth behind it. But right away they kind of have to open up to me. So I want to make sure they feel comfortable through the whole process, or that they are comfortable the minute they walk in, so that they can tell me. They don't kind of freeze up and go, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to tell her why I'm getting this, or feel embarrassed or something like that. Like,
But how are you so gangster and such an open soul all at the same time?
Like, I'm sitting with the same question.
Right? Because to open up to you have to be a really shiny soul, which you are. You're like a bright, beautiful human.
Yeah.
And yet you're just such a gangster chick. So how do you combine those two worlds so seamlessly?
You might have a gangster filter. I'm just like.
Yeah, I have no idea. I feel like
gangsta. I don't know.
I feel like the person, like the visual, like the first impression maybe is what the gangster side comes, just because I have like neck tattoos or something. Why do you think?
Well, I've never seen you wear a baby blue or pink.
Okay, so
You're typically in the black and gray realism hoodie.
Yeah, so I think that's just like first impression.
Wait a minute. There's a realism hoodie. I love that
because it
term.
said black and gray, and
That's
now
a
it's
black and gray realism.
By the way, I gotta get some of this swag. So let me know when you have the tanks.
Okay.
I know, all I've got is little shirts right now.
I'm ready for the tanks.
It was, it might have been the neck tattoo that gave you away, perhaps.
Well, no, because you've crossed the line of societal definition.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe let me ask you this. Do you know that society defines you in a different way that it would define someone without ink?
Totally.
Because you have so much of it on you.
Yeah.
So you have decided to shake hands with society's definition and say, okay, you can define me that way, and yet be the polar opposite and be this beautiful, sunshiny soul. So I guess there has had to have been a decision made by you saying, I'll dance with your definition of me, but I'm still this.
Yeah.
And you decided to have that duality. You're very binary.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's funny because I talk to my friends about this when I see photos, and I'm like, man, I got tattooed. Like, I don't picture myself with like tattoos, like stuff. Like I still, when I think of me and I'm looking at me from the outside, I picture me grade 7, like, like right. I'm just.
It's not tattoos.
Yeah. Yeah, or like, hey, can I come sit with you guys? Like, like that's like,
that's
I
really
don't
sweet.
feel like.
Just want to be one of the cool kids.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's really
so.
tender.
I mean, it's.
You can sit with us.
Yeah, thanks.
That's so tender. Oh my goodness.
But I mean, at the same time, like, I just don't. The tattoos, I got into them at day one. My first tattoo was a little outline of Bowen, and that was that was super special to me, and I was in high school, so the Bowen kids were always like the weird ones over in West Van at that point, and whatever. So I got to represent Bowen Island and be like, yeah, I'm a proud Bowen Islander, and that was just kind of the beginning. And since then, it's just like when I want a tattoo or I'm feeling like, oh yeah, I want to get something new. I can picture it on me already. I already know. I'm like, okay, so in this space, I'm gonna have this, and I'm set. I'm doing it, and I just don't care if that bothers someone. Like if I went in to go to a job and they were like, sorry, you're right. You got a cat owl on your arm, like you can't be here, and I'd be like, okay, well, I don't want to work here then. Like I'd figure out something else. So I guess you kind of have to have a bit of that attitude if you're gonna be open about your tattoos and be prepared to show them all the time, kind of thing. So
but you're living on your own terms, which is the best.
Yeah. And I mean, bringing it back to Bowen Island, it's been an amazing year, except like, I don't know, I've never felt a backlash on Bowen of like, oh, what's the weird tattoo girls coming here, you guys, like, don't know if she can be here or something. Like,
You haven't heard the talk?
Yeah, it hasn't made it to me.
Sorry. Shouldn't have revealed the talk.
That's right. He can still hear it. He hasn't been here as long. He can still have those ears. I'm 12 years in. I hear a little bit.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the Bowen thing. If people want to talk about you, that's great. Just don't let you find out about it. Like, do it behind my back.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then great.
Okay, well, this is great. We're on the Bowen thing because I was thinking, okay, so my answer to your question about you, Kelly, is you like, why are you shiny? How is this? Why are you so warm? Is because you grew up here.
Yeah.
And there really is a bit of this small town. Like there's something about small towns. I remember when I first moved here and and I went up to the office, which is no longer there, to pick up printing or whatever, and it was really expensive. Because, city prices for printing is different than the small. And I actually gave her some attitude. I was like, what? Like, what? That price? And then I was like, you're going to see her in the grocery store. Shut up. And it changes you. Like, it changes you. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if you notice a difference, or when those city kids come in and get tattoos, what's it like? I don't know. What do you notice as a Bowen Islander?
Yeah, I don't know. I was just never given, for me, I feel like I was lucky. I was never given the chance to feel bad about expressing myself like that. Like my parents were very supportive of whatever I wanted to do, They were like, yeah, okay, I mean, the tattoo was pushing it. By the time they let me get that, they weren't like, sure, be cool, let's come with you. They were like, and it was because it was the outline of Bowen Island. That's how I conned them into letting me do it, right? Yeah, I was like, it's the Bowen Island, love my island. And they were like, okay, fine. And then after that, yeah, and then I was like, I'm getting another one after school today. I'll be home late. And they're like, oh, damn it, But yeah, no, I think Bowen was a huge influence of that. Bringing the artists together, and because I grew up here, a lot of folks have seen me grow up, or I've been, family friends with them. They knew my parents, things like that. So maybe they didn't like tattoos, or they weren't into the whole tattoo scene, but they know me and they knew my family. So they're like, all right, fine, we'll let this one slide. It seems all right.
This.
Yeah.
We like her. We trust her.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's really cool. It's huge support from people that I've seen my whole life and don't have any tattoos or any interest in it, and they're like, yeah, it's really cool to see you doing this. So that feels really good, just to have that kind of.
I'll tell you why I bring it up, because I think that care of yourself as an artist is important. Like knowing what your artist needs. What does your artist need? Like, I love the way you described, you got all the things that you need to be in your process. And I think community for some, not for everyone, but that's important.
Huge. Right? Yeah, absolutely. Big old family on Bowen kind of thing, right? So.
And at a great places of safety, man, we'll take big risks. Right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so true.
So, Kel, are you best at what you love to do? So let me ask you in a different way. So, for example, you do lettering. Let's say you're a tattooist that does lettering.
Yeah.
And it's your favorite thing to do. Are you also best at that discipline? Do those two merge for you? Or do you find that you're way better at something that's not necessarily your favorite, but maybe you've just spent more time cultivating it?
Yeah.
So about that working in concert.
I found that I do a lot of different styles. Like, I like to dabble in different styles. I'm looking at the walls here because they're covered in examples, but I love doing this piece up here is kind of like a Halloween-y. It's black and gray, it's dark, it's twisted. I love when I'm painting or drawing without any guidance or rules or whatever. I like to kind of draw that style mostly. I try to branch from it. But not everybody wants the spooky tattoos. That was a really fun piece to do for that client, and that's like the only style that he likes. So it's been a lot of fun. But no, I think for me, florals right now, nature, like anything, like mostly flowers and nature pieces, black and gray. I'm just loving how they look, how they flow, how they sit on the bodies, and I get like really excited for those pieces. Right now, that could change in a month. That's why I'm like always dabbling in different styles. But I feel like that's the one right now that I didn't expect to be wanting to draw all the time, but it's...
So it's not about trends, it's about your personal taste buds.
Right now, yeah. There's a lot of floral stuff. I don't know if that's just because of the time of the year or if it is a trend right now. I mean, but like I said, florals and tattoos, it's timeless. Like you can get...
Right.
That's not going to go away. That's that's a classic piece. And you see artists do these days, whether it's the realism flowers or color or whatever, but I just love doing the line work and the fine lines and the big floppy petals and things and the leaves, and that's my favorite kind of, I get really into that. It's so organic, you can really shape it to a person's body too, like have it perfectly come down the collarbone and it just looks like it's,
Beautiful.
Why are hands so difficult to do?
To tattoo?
You would think that faces, I'm sorry, not tattooing your hands, but to draw a hand that looks realistic seems like an impossible task. You would think it would be a face, but no, a hand is impossible to make look realistic.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things every
day. Why?
I just because they're so mobile. If one pinky's like a little bit off, you suddenly look like you've got a broken hand or something. Like it's just or if the nails are too fat, then it just looks weird. It's like the finest little detail. I mean, I watch some artists just, they just whip one up.
Well, it's a good thing there's not a lot of tattoos of hands, I would gather. Is there tattoos of hands?
There's a lot with the rosary hands.
Oh, okay.
That's a common one that I've seen a lot.
That's an NBA favorite.
Yeah,
yes.
And so it exactly.
Nice.
And so, but I mean, there are a few artists. Usually, the ones that you're getting those kind of tattoos with are realism artists that you probably would seek out and make sure that see other examples of stuff they do. Hands would be a tough one, like portraits. You really want to make sure you're getting somebody to nail that portrait.
So
you might end up something weird.
We can go as long as we want, but we're kind of in this like end zone.
We're in the end game.
We're in the end game, but so I have two questions.
I'm just feeling
do you have
like
a couple?
No, I'm all out of questions. I just want to make sure that our interviewee doesn't get sick of us.
Oh yeah.
Like, I still want to have that.
Well, I'm really charming.
Yeah.
And I know I lose my first date excitement after about 20 minutes. So that's.
Oh my God, he wants to go. Well, we'll just keep talking.
So I'm out. Please feel free to fire away. I'm past my expiration date.
Okay, I have two questions. One of them, I was out for a walk with a friend of mine who's R.D. Kane, who's a photographer. And he asked me, he's like, so what do you think the job of an artist is? What is the job of an artist? And, there's a zillion answers in my head. And then I don't know what I said. And he looked at me and he said, next. That's the job of an artist. Next. And it really stayed with me. Yeah. So I'm curious for you, not what's next, like what's the next goal, unless that's what comes up for you, but like what's alive for you? What's the next thing that is calling you to take a risk?
Ask that. That's like I was just talking to my friend about this, and we were having a big talk. We busted out tarot cards to get some answers.
Yeah,
I bet you got an ace of pentacles.
Yeah, well, a couple things. It answered a lot of questions that I didn't ask, so I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Yeah. No, I think for me with the shop is just, I'd really like to be working on for me as an artist, bigger pieces right now. I'd like to move towards that zone. And my apprentice that I've got now, who started back in June, she is just chugging along with learning and soaking up all the info. She's going to be great. She's got like an amazing skills with her art that I've been watching over the years. And she can start doing some of the smaller pieces in the shop. And yeah, I'm just kind of running with that for now. And then, I just want to keep growing with the shop. I don't know that I'd want to move my space because I just love what the space holds for me right now. And it's tiny, but we're making it work.
Well, I think the way you described, like if I had to name this podcast, which I'm not, but if I was going to, I'd somehow call it Vibe. Because you care so much about the vibe between you and the customer. Like the way the shop, the way I heard you talk about the way you listen to them, the fact that you actually try to figure out what music they like, like you're ready for that exchange. Then you're talking about the meditate, getting in the zone, and then you're both in the zone. I'm like you're devoted to that. I totally get that.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, to bring in an apprentice right now too has kind of sparked that in me again too, just to, because I'd been kind of just chugging along doing the same thing, and I was like, something needs to shift, you know, when that happens, when I feel like that, I start rearranging everything in my house or my shop or whatever. And then I took on an apprentice, and it was just like, yeah, right. Like, you just kind of remember what the spark was that watching her grow and get excited, and it's reminding me again of that. So
It's like the first 20 minutes of a date.
yeah.
Well, I was kind of thinking of parenthood, and you've raised yourself, and now you're ready to raise another.
Yeah.
And pass the torch of your knowledge and your openness, and I think that's kind of magical. I think I know you're a story girl. I think in the arts it's about the sharing of legacy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's so beautiful that, you know, when I write music, for me, what's next for me is to leave a catalog for my children. A catalog, a body of work. I look at your walls, it's a body of work. And many bodies of work that have walked out of here, right? Yeah. Stories are these beautiful oral traditions of legacies of your people and legacies of you, of time having lived. Yeah. And so it seems like you're exactly on that same page of taking your legacy, passing it on to somebody else, and growing it. So it's a very parental storytelling, very soulful endeavor.
Yeah. That's great.
Damn.
I love it.
That was quite a soliloquy.
That was
nice.
lovely.
Perfect.
Feels like a great way to close, I think, even though I had one more question, but I think we need to end on the legacy. Like, is there anything bigger than that?
It was kind of perfect.
The legacy is... So are we all in agreement that this episode of Harley's...
And Hairspray?
...has come to an official ending for our one listener and viewer?
I think we're open to a bigger legacy than that. So I think if we close it, we just might get another viewer.
Just before we go, Kelly, thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
You are incredible. I'll be back for more work.
Excellent.
With no microphones. I just have to think about what that's going to be.
Yeah.
I have to go through more trauma, which I'm sure is forthcoming. It's imminent. But what I want people to know is that you can find Kelly Miller on Bowen Island at the Bowen Island Tattoo Shop. She's on all the socials. She's crazy good as an artist, and dare I say, even better as a human. So, Kelly Miller, Bowen Island Tattoo Shop, we adore you and thank you for your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
I don't wanna follow nobody. I'm just trying to make a better me. Everybody's chasing legacy, but it costs too much and I wanna be free. Yeah. Oh, I just wanna be free. Hey. My feet on the ground, my hands to the sky. Don't wanna be wrong, don't wanna be right, but I'll testify. I'm blessed by the Lord, I'm in my own lane. Yeah, I don't want the credit, it comes with the blame. And when this is over, we won't be the same. I don't know who told you that you can't do it, cause they didn't know you. This shit ain't for everybody, I just need somebody to show you. You think it's the end, but that's where I begin. They want me to fail, but I'm built to win. I don't wanna follow nobody. I'm just trying to make a better me. Everybody's chasing legacy, but it costs too much and I wanna be free. Yeah. Oh, I would rather be free. Oh, I would rather be free. You're digging for gold, it's fake like your friends. It's all a mirage, a yellow brick road, but here's where it ends. I'll be a star, I'll light your way home. Trapped in a maze, turned out amazing, you'll never be alone. I don't know who told you that you can't do it, cause they didn't know you. This shit ain't for everybody, I just need somebody to show you. You think it's the end, but that's where I begin. They want me to fail, but I'm built to win. I don't wanna follow nobody. I'm just trying to make a better me. Everybody's chasing legacy, but it costs too much and I wanna be free.
5.